Bradley Thomas is about to lose everything in a single day, but getting fired and discovering his wife's betrayal will soon feel like the least of his problems. Bradley is a powerful, stone-faced mechanic who arrives at the garage with another broken car. The owner is already waiting and immediately calls him into the office. Bradley knows exactly what is coming. The garage is supposedly struggling financially, so several workers must be let go. But Bradley understands the real reason. His boss would rather hire someone obedient than deal with a man who refuses to flatter him. Bradley does not argue. He empties his locker, collects his belongings, and quietly drives home. This is the first step in a downfall that will follow him all the way to the end. Outside his house, Bradley notices his wife, Lauren, sitting in her car and speaking nervously on the phone. Something feels wrong. He watches her long enough to confirm his suspicion, then walks over and orders her to unlock the door. Lauren casually asks why he came home so early, but Bradley notices a mark on her neck. He demands her phone. She refuses, so he takes it himself and discovers that she has been speaking to another man. His suspicion was right. Barely controlling his anger, Bradley tells her to go inside. Lauren tries to explain, but one cold command ends the conversation. Bradley has just lost his job, and now he has learned that his wife is cheating. Instead of attacking her, he turns toward her car and destroys it with his bare hands. By the time his rage fades, his hands are badly injured. Inside the house, Bradley asks how long the affair has been happening. Lauren admits it has lasted 3 months. After suffering a miscarriage, she had fallen into depression, while Bradley remained consumed by work. Feeling abandoned and alone, she turned to someone else for comfort. Her betrayal still hurts, but Bradley realizes he also failed to be present when she needed him. He apologizes, and the two agree to rebuild their marriage from that moment forward. Then Bradley reveals that he has been fired. To support them, he plans to work for a man named Gil, a drug dealer he once promised to avoid. Lauren immediately objects, reminding him that he swore he would never enter that world. Bradley agrees, but says promises will not pay their bills. He has no other option, and he assures her that he will be careful. 18 months later, Bradley's life looks completely different. He now works as a trusted drug courier, delivering packages between dealers without attracting attention. The money has given him a large house, expensive cars, and financial security. Lauren is pregnant again, and only days away from giving birth. For the first time in years, their future appears safe. But money earned through crime always comes with a hidden cost. Just as Bradley and Lauren begin talking privately, Gil calls and orders him to come over immediately. Lauren's expression makes it clear that she still hates Bradley's work, but he leaves anyway. At Gil's place, Bradley meets Eleazar, a well-connected Mexican drug trafficker, along with 2 of his men, Roman and Pedro. Eleazar has an important shipment to collect and wants Bradley to lead the operation. Bradley studies the 2 men and refuses. Roman looks reckless, heavily addicted, and impossible to control. One careless decision could bring the police down on all of them. Eleazar insists that Roman and Pedro are among his best men, but Bradley still wants no part of it. Gil takes him aside and explains how profitable the job could be. He also promises Bradley 3 months away from work once the baby is born. After thinking it over, Bradley accepts on one condition: he will control the operation, and both men must follow every order without question. Eleazar agrees. Bradley immediately tests Roman. He asks what Roman will do if he is ordered to throw away the shipment. Roman answers that he will throw it away. With that promise, the deal is made. That night, the 3 men arrive at a harbor. Roman begins ignoring instructions before they even board the boat, but Pedro reminds him that Bradley is in charge. Bradley pilots the vessel to the pickup location, carefully checks the surrounding area, and stops. Pedro puts on diving equipment and enters the water. Moments later, he returns with a submerged container holding nearly $3 million worth of drugs. They remove the packages, dump the empty box back into the water, and head toward shore. Then Bradley notices danger. Without explanation, he throws his own package into the water and orders Roman and Pedro to do the same. They refuse. Instead of trusting the man they agreed to follow, they attack him and escape with the drugs. Bradley controls his anger and lets them go while he moves back toward the boat. Seconds later, police surround Roman and Pedro, and the harbor erupts in gunfire. Bradley considers slipping away, but then hears officers calling for help. He quickly forms a plan. If he appears to be an innocent civilian assisting the police, they may never connect him to the shipment. He approaches from behind, shoots Pedro, and then takes down Roman. The plan almost works, but the officers arrest Bradley anyway. Detective Watkins questions him about the drugs and demands to know why he was at the harbor. Bradley carefully redirects every question without revealing anything. Watkins recognizes that Bradley is intelligent and disciplined, but he has no evidence directly connecting him to the narcotics. Unfortunately, Bradley still killed 2 men and possessed an illegal firearm. That is enough to destroy his freedom. Before the court hearing, Bradley is allowed one final meeting with Lauren. He tells her to protect herself and their unborn child. The money he earned should allow them to live comfortably, even without him. Bradley is sentenced to 7 years for the killings and weapons charge, then transferred to Franklin Correctional Facility. On arrival, the guards confiscate everything valuable, including his wedding ring. After a medical examination, he is taken upstairs with an older inmate named Lefty. There, Management Officer Andre explains the rules. The most important one is simple. Whenever the bell rings, every prisoner must immediately leave his cell for count. Bradley is locked inside and begins blaming himself for ever accepting Eleazar's job. Exhausted, he eventually falls asleep. When the bell rings, every prisoner steps outside except Bradley, who remains unconscious in his bunk. Because one man is missing, the entire block loses its meal. When Bradley finally appears, Andre explodes. He reminds him that the rules were clearly explained and gives him one final warning. From now on, Bradley must follow every order without hesitation. While Bradley adjusts to prison, Lauren is asleep at home when she senses someone inside the house. She reaches for a gun, but the intruders are already close. Before she can defend herself, a stun gun drops her to the floor. The men have come to abduct her. Back in prison, Lefty tells Bradley that a visitor is waiting. He enters the meeting room and finds a woman named Denise, who claims she received a call from Dr. Placid, supposedly Lauren's physician. According to her, Lauren is experiencing serious pregnancy complications, and the doctor wants to meet Bradley at 10 the following morning. Bradley is immediately suspicious. Lauren has never mentioned a doctor named Placid. The next day, Bradley meets the man and confirms his fear. He is not Lauren's doctor at all. He works for Eleazar. Placid explains that the failed harbor operation cost his employer $3 million. Then he shows Bradley a photograph of Lauren, proving that she has been kidnapped. Eleazar blames Bradley for the entire loss and is prepared to kill both Lauren and the unborn baby. There is only one way to keep them alive. Bradley must accept a deadly deal and complete a job against a specific prisoner from inside the prison. Bradley is given an impossible mission. Enter Redleaf Prison's Block 99 and murder a lifer named Christopher. Dr. Placid promises that if Bradley completes the job, Eleazar will forgive the lost shipment and release Lauren and their unborn child. Bradley is devastated, but refusing means losing his family. As Andre escorts him back to his cell, Bradley suddenly removes his shoes and attacks him. This is not a burst of anger. It is a calculated move designed to get him transferred to Redleaf. Andre fights back with his baton, but Bradley overwhelms him and breaks his arm. Guards rush in, restrain Bradley, and drag him toward isolation. But he needs a harsher punishment, so he attacks them too. After Bradley takes down 3 more guards, one finally uses a stun gun to stop him. His plan works. The authorities classify Bradley as extremely dangerous and transfer him to Redleaf, one of the most brutal prisons in the system. Upon arrival, he meets Warden Tuggs and 4 heavily armed officers. Tuggs tells Bradley that coming there was the worst mistake of his life. Redleaf offers no comfort, no mercy, and no protection. After processing, Bradley expects to be taken to Block 99. Instead, he is placed in Block 59. His cell is disgusting, covered in filth left behind by the previous inmate. The smell is nearly unbearable, but Bradley is willing to endure anything for his family. He removes his undershirt, covers his face with it, and lies down. Later, a guard unlocks the cell and gives him 1 hour in the exercise yard. Bradley immediately begins searching for Christopher. An inmate named Derek approaches him. When Bradley asks about Christopher, Derek says there is no prisoner by that name anywhere in Redleaf. Bradley realizes something is wrong. He notices a group of violent inmates exercising nearby and decides to question them. Derek warns him to stay away because they are completely unstable. Bradley approaches anyway. The prisoners become aggressive, and Bradley deliberately provokes them into a fight. Once again, he is trying to appear uncontrollable, so the guards will send him to Block 99. He brutally attacks the inmates until a guard fires a warning shot. More officers arrive, but Bradley turns on them too. Warden Tuggs finally appears and orders his men to cover Bradley's head. This time, they take him underground. Block 99 is not a normal prison wing. It is a dungeon hidden beneath the facility. Before placing Bradley inside, the guards lock a remote-controlled electric belt around his body. The floor of his cell is covered with broken glass, and Tuggs immediately activates the device, sending powerful shocks through Bradley. Meanwhile, Lauren remains imprisoned by Eleazar's men. Her condition is worsening, and Dr. Placid photographs her while standing beside a Korean abortion specialist. Their plan is clear. They intend to terminate her pregnancy. Back in Block 99, Bradley regains consciousness and begins shouting Christopher's name. The prisoner in the neighboring cell tells him the same thing Derek did. No one named Christopher exists there. Before Bradley can understand the situation, guards drag him into the hallway and shock him again. Then one of them says Christopher is finally ready to meet him. They take Bradley to another cell, where the entire truth is revealed. There is no Christopher. Inside the room are Eleazar and the same violent inmates Bradley fought in the yard. Christopher was only bait. Eleazar invented the target to trick Bradley into getting himself transferred to Block 99, where escape is nearly impossible. Eleazar wants revenge for the $3 million shipment. Bradley's arrest also exposed his operation. And Pedro, the man Bradley killed at the harbor, was married to Eleazar's sister. Even worse, Eleazar has bribed the guards and taken control of the entire underground block. Bradley is repeatedly shocked and beaten. Eleazar shows him the photograph of Lauren and makes it clear that neither she nor the baby will survive. Bradley is dragged back to his cell while Eleazar keeps the remote controlling the electric belt. Every few moments, another shock tears through his body. For the first time, Bradley appears completely defeated. Everything he did to save his family has only brought him deeper into Eleazar's trap. Then he begins speaking with the prisoner in the next cell and quietly forms another plan. Bradley removes the sole from his shoe and places it over the belt's sensor. The electric current stops reaching him. When the guards return, they take Bradley into the corridor to test whether the device still works. Bradley asks for fresh air before returning to his cell. The guards refuse and activate the belt. Nothing happens, but Bradley pretends to collapse in agony. The guards move closer, convinced that he is helpless. That is exactly what he wanted. Bradley suddenly attacks, killing one guard and terrifying the other. He takes the keys, locks the surviving officer inside his own cell, and heads directly toward Eleazar. The violent prisoners block his path. Bradley tears through them one by one. He crushes the first man's face beneath his foot, destroys another inmate's eye, and beats the final attacker until he can barely move. One last kick shatters the man's face and ends the fight. Now only Eleazar remains. This is the man who destroyed Bradley's life, abducted his wife, and threatened his unborn child. Bradley knocks him to the ground, takes his phone, and orders him to call his men and stop Lauren's abortion. Eleazar refuses. Bradley breaks his right leg. The pain finally forces Eleazar to cooperate. He calls Dr. Placid and cancels the procedure. Bradley then orders him to have Lauren delivered safely to Gil. Afterward, Bradley drags Eleazar into his cell and locks him inside with the surviving guard. Before Bradley can close the door, Warden Tuggs arrives with more officers. Tuggs demands to know what happened to his men. Bradley says one is already dead, while the other will die too if anyone opens the cell. Bradley is not planning an escape. He is waiting for confirmation that Lauren is safe. Following Eleazar's order, Dr. Placid and the Korean specialist transport Lauren to Gil's location. Placid keeps a gun aimed at Gil to prevent him from interfering. Once Lauren is released, the two men begin walking away. Gil suddenly pulls out a hidden sniper rifle and shoots Placid in the head. Lauren takes the weapon and kills the specialist who had planned to terminate her pregnancy. Moments later, Gil calls Bradley and confirms that Lauren is safe. He promises to protect her from that moment forward. Gil hands the phone to Lauren. Bradley knows this may be the last time he ever hears her voice. He speaks directly to their unborn child, telling the baby to grow into a good person, remain healthy, make wise choices, and live a meaningful life. Bradley is heartbroken because he knows he will never get the chance to meet his child. Outside the cell, Tuggs impatiently asks whether the emotional goodbye is finally over. Bradley asks for one more minute. He enters the cell and turns toward Eleazar. There will be no trial and no second chance. Bradley attacks him with everything he has left and continues until Eleazar is dead. Tuggs finally loses patience, enters the cell, and shoots Bradley in the head. Bradley dies instantly. His choices gave Lauren and their child a future, but they also ensured that he would never be part of it. Bradley began as a man trying to repair his marriage and support his family. But the moment he chose criminal money as the solution, every decision pulled him deeper into violence, prison, and revenge. The story leaves behind one brutal lesson. Difficult circumstances may limit your choices, but taking the wrong path can create consequences far worse than the problem you are trying to escape.